A Step into the Past Volume 10 Chapter 7, filled with plans from head to toe. Empress Jing received Dong Kuang in that secluded pavilion in the Imperial Gardens. After being seated, Xiang Xiaolong said, "Lady Ye has informed me that she is headed to Daliang tomorrow, so tonight is the only chance to make our move against her. All I need to do is find a valid excuse to head to her residence and I will carry out the task. Empress Jing, have you prepared the necessary materials?" A poisonous look flashed across the Empress of Zhao's eyes. After hesitating for a moment, she finally sighed. She should consider herself lucky. We'll consider this matter to have come to an end now. Xiang Xiaolong's heart trembled slightly. He realized that this noble lady and Zhao Mu must have some sort of secretive yet effective system of communication between them. That's why she was able to find out so quickly that there has been a change in the situation. Just as he was considering the best way to awaken her to the possibility of Prince Wuchen's rebellion, Empress Jing mournfully sighed, "When wine passes through worries, it transforms into tears. Today, I've been incessantly thinking about this moving line. I can't motivate myself to do anything." Based upon all the information he had gathered, Xiang Xiaolong was now capable of drawing a rough sketch of the history and person of this First Lady of Zhao. After being married off to the country of Zhao and becoming the Empress, her task was to maintain and strengthen the alliance of the three countries. In addition, she faithfully gave the people of Zhao their one and only crown prince. Everything should have been perfect, but a problem appeared in the form of King Xiaocheng. Because of his love for other men, he neglected her. Empress Jing definitely was not a promiscuous woman. Although King Xiaocheng didn't keep a tight watch on her, she nonetheless followed all the rules of propriety, living a lonely life at court. This sort of woman, once she truly falls in love, becomes an even more hopeless case when compared to how promiscuous women act. The person who made her truly fall in love was Prince Xinling. The latter was just putting on an act to gain personal benefit for himself. For the sake of politics, he put on a show for her, while the person he really cared for was Zhao Yi. Naturally, after Empress Jing discovered this, she suffered a wound which, to this very day, had not yet been healed. Zhao Mu, seeing the opportunity, used King Xiaocheng's indulgence for all sorts of games to acquire a stockpile of many different medicines, which he used to arouse her sexual desire. He caused herself to wallow in wanton despair and become willing to do anything for him. Empress Jing harbored a deep hatred towards King Xiaocheng, and in addition, she wasn't a woman without ambition. The powerful and yet subtle relationships which developed between male and female caused her and Zhao Mu to use each other for mutual benefit, spurring each other on to greater depravities. No one can deny that Zhao Mu is a very attractive, mesmerizing man. He had ways for seducing both men and women. Otherwise, before Zhao Yi fell in love with Xiang Xiaolong, she wouldn't have found herself unable to resist Zhao Mu's seductions and teases. If, hypothetically, he, Xiang Xiaolong, was able to win over Empress Jing to his side, Zhao Mu's biggest supporter would be gone, and the task of capturing him would become much easier as well. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but let out a sigh. To have a happy, peaceful life in this era, the only option was to stop at nothing and use any methods available to achieve his goal. Staring at him, Empress Jing said, "Why are you sighing?" Xiang Xiaolong, when thinking of the unscrupulous, underhanded tactics he was going to have to use, felt no desire for her at the moment. He dully said, "I don't know either." Empress Jing didn't expect him to reply in such a manner. Astounded, she said, "You are very frank." Both of them were silent for some time. After the two stared at each other for some time, Empress Jing found herself somewhat unable to withstand his scorching gaze. Lowering her head, she said, "You really are willing to listen to my orders to frame Zhao Yi? I thought you liked her? All men like women like her, who know how to satisfy them in bed." Xiang Xiaolong understand what she was thinking. He ruggedly replied, "To ask me to frame the innocent really is something I am reluctant to do. I'd rather kill her with a chop of the sword and do things neatly and cleanly." At worst, I would have to flee from Handan afterwards and in such a manner, repay you, Empress Jing, for the kindness you showed in promoting me. Empress Jing's entire body trembled as she stared at him. Her phoenix-like eyes quivering with a fierce look in them, she replied with cold formality, "So you have the audacity to act against my instructions." Xiang Xiaolong used the technique of using soft to overcome hard. He let out another sigh. "I, Dong Kuang, am willing to sacrifice my livelihood and even my very life for you, Empress Jing." "Empress, are you still not satisfied? Why is there such deep hatred between yourself and Lady Ye?" Empress Jing's face turned icy. "You aren't qualified to get involved in the grudge between myself and her." Seeing that she was no longer criticizing him over resisting her orders, Xiang Xiaolong knew that she had already softened towards him. At this moment, he was riding on the tiger's back, with no way to get off. If he didn't use extraordinary measures to subdue her, it would be very difficult to anticipate the consequences. Zhao was an excellent example of how difficult it is to fathom and understand the minds of these women, who have lived in the palace for so long. Suddenly, she issued an order of expulsion. "General Dong, if you have no further business here, you have my leave to depart." Xiang Xiaolong rose to his feet. Taking 2 angry steps away, he spoke to her with his back turned, "Empress Jing, do you know that disaster is so near that it is pressing at your eyelashes?" Empress Jing's tender body trembled slightly. Laughing coldly, she said, "General Dong, if you are just saying frightening words to try and scare me, I definitely will not let you off." Xiang Xiaolong casually shrugged his shoulders, not appearing to care in the slightest. "If that's the case, please allow me to take back the words I said earlier. Starting today, I, Dong Kuang, no longer owe you, Empress Jing, anything further. If the Empress wishes to take Dong Kuang's life, go ahead and give the order." Empress Jing exploded with anger. Rising to her feet, her lovable voice shouted, "What audacity! How dare you speak to me with that sort of attitude? Do you believe me when I tell you that I will immediately call for someone to come and pull your tongue out by the roots?" Xiang Xiaolong swiftly turned around and stared at her, shooting her a gaze filled with cold electricity. His appearance suddenly became powerful without compare. He replied, "I, Dong Kuang, have never considered life or death to be a matter of great importance. If all I wanted to do was make you happy, it would be very easy for me to ignore my conscience and just say words pleasing to the ear. But no matter who I am willing to lie to, I, Dong Kuang, am not willing to deceive my beloved Empress Jing. That's the reason why I spoke those words from the heart. I didn't expect that I would gain only your disfavor. Forget it. It's no big deal if I can no longer be the city commander. At first, I was able to carry out some things on your behalf. It is a pity that things are the way they are. I'm going to go to the king now and return to him the imperial seal for commanding troops. I no longer wish to concern myself with the affairs of Handan." When had Empress Jing ever been rebuked directly in such a way by anyone before? For the moment, she was stunned and speechless. But upon hearing the overbearing power of his impassioned speech, her heart actually softened. She only tightened her tender face and said, "Fine. Since you are so straightforward, go ahead and tell me these words from the depths of your heart. I will respectfully listen to them." Xiang Xiaolong secretly felt great joy. Deciding to stop while he was ahead, he disappointedly sighed, "Right now, your servant's heart is dejected and downcast. I don't wish to say anything at all. Empress Jing, call for someone to come take me away. I definitely will not resist." Empress Jing was briefly stunned. Leaving the table, she came to his side. After her slender, beautiful face closely examined his own for a moment, she let out a light sigh. "Why do you have to be so angry with me? Even if you don't care about your own life, you should think about the needs of your followers in Handan. Even the king cannot protect you from being punished for offending your betters." Xiang Xiaolong knew that the time was right. Deep emotion flowing from his eyes, he shook his head. I don't know why I was unable to control myself either. I only felt that if Empress Jing were to wrongly think badly of me, that I would, bah. I don't know what to say. Empress Jing was stunned at first. Then, she let out a tinkling laugh, the sound of silver bells chiming. Stretching her hands out, she pressed them against his broad chest. In a low voice, she said, "No need for you to explain. Of course I understand what you mean." Feeling her precious hands gently touch and stroke him, Xiang Xiaolong suddenly felt a surge of desire. He comfortably closed his eyes. In a soft voice, he said, "Empress Jing, please don't be like this. Otherwise, I won't be able to control myself and will violate you." Giggling with laughter, Empress Jing said, "Just now, weren't you acting so mean and ferocious that you looked as though you were going to devour me whole? Why are you now trembling with fear?" Eek! No. Xiang Xiaolong had waited for just such a good opportunity. It felt like he had been waiting for centuries. Why be polite for any longer? He roughly pulled her into his embrace and pressed his lips against her fragrant neck and shoulder. How could Empress Jing have imagined that he would be so rough and daring? She thought that he would be as proper as he had been in the past. By the time she thought to try and struggle free, she found herself lost within this man's charisma and his depredations of her. Xiang Xiaolong ardently and fiercely kissed this first lady as his hands roamed across her buttocks without any scruple or reservation, holding her so tightly that she almost found herself unable to breathe. Only by breaking down the barriers between man and woman would he be able to break down Zhao Mu's control over her. This was similar to how Zhao Mu himself subdued her. These arrogant palace noble women lacked for nothing at all, but it was precisely because they lacked no material goods that they couldn't help but feel that their hearts were empty. If he could compensate for this defect in her heart, it would be the same as winning her affection. His freedom of action would become much greater, with the difference between as great as that between the clouds of heaven and the mud of the earth. Although there was some deception involved, how many times had she used the same sort of seductive deception against him? To him, this was just another battlefield. In the blink of an eye, Empress Jing began to react ardently. Xiang Xiaolong's lust was tremendous, especially when he thought about her high and lofty status, as the Empress of the nation. But, knowing that she had suffered a deep psychological wound in the past, it wouldn't do to proceed with undue haste. When both of them were out of breath from each other's kisses, he said in a low voice, "Empress Jing, do you know about the conspiracy between Prince Wuchen, Tiandan, and Zhao Mu?" Empress Jing, whose body was still ensconced in his arms, suddenly trembled violently. The lust in her phoenix-like eyes suddenly dissipated. Staring at him, she cried out involuntarily, "What?" Xiang Xiaolong's arms around her tightened. In a soft voice, he said, "Empress Ding, you really underestimated Tiandan and Zhao Mu. Do you think that it never crossed their minds that after the crown prince ascends to the throne, all power would be concentrated in your hands? In addition, everyone knows that you won't be so stupid as to destroy the base of your military security by executing Li Mu and Lian Po, the pillars supporting the country of Zhao. At that point in time, wouldn't Tiandan have wasted all of his efforts for no gain? It is precisely because they have ulterior motives that they find themselves 100% confident in their actions. Their two bodies were still entangled with one another's, but Empress Jing had already totally recovered her normal clarity of thought. She calmly said, "Where did you get this news from?" Rousing his own spirit, Xiang Xiaolong said, "From the first time Tiandan met me, he wanted to win me over to his side. After you promoted me to the rank of city commander, I sought him out and held secret talks with him. I pretended to be loyal to him, to see what secrets and plans he had. That is how I heard about this secret." A sharp light shone out of Empress Jing's eyes as she stared at him without blinking. Xiang Xiaolong matched the intensity of her gaze, not budging in the slightest. A slightly ridiculing tone to her voice, the beautiful woman replied, "I didn't realize that horse fanatic Dong was so very skilled at deceiving people. MMPH. Xiang Xiaolong once again sealed off her lips with his own. This time, Xiang Xiaolong stopped after only a quick taste. He boldly said, "For the sake of Empress Jing, it's no big deal if I deceive someone. But there is one thing I do not understand. The king is not in the best of health. I'm afraid that he doesn't have much time left to him. Empress Jing, why don't you just wait for a short period of time longer, instead of taking on such a risk?" Empress Jing had been kissed by him until her entire body went limp. Panting, she said, "If I were to wait a few more years, the country of Zhao will have been lost because of this blockhead." Xiang Xiaolong suddenly saw the light, realizing that she had the same line of thought as him. No wonder she was willing to collude with Zhao Mu. With a slightly begging tone to her voice, Empress Jing said, "Let go of me, all right? There's a lot of things I need to discuss with you." Xiang Xiaolong secretly thought to himself that he might as well go all out. If he didn't seize this opportunity to conquer her, he feared that he wouldn't have such a good opportunity again. Just as he was about to launch a fierce attack, a palace lady's voice came from the staircase. "The palace servant, Zhang Jiguang, has come to report that the king is waiting for General Dong in the inner palace." The two were feeling guilty due to their sordid actions. They hurriedly separated. Forcing herself to calm down, Empress Jing said, "General Dong will go immediately. Have him wait just a moment." Giving him a glance, she said in a low voice, "No matter what, don't let the king know what just happened. When dusk falls, go to Han Chuang's residence. I have business to discuss with you." Xiang Xiaolong found it unimaginable that he once again lost the chance to taste the Empress of Zhao, despite her having been literally at his lips. Lamenting at the situation, he left disappointed. The palace servant, Zhang Jiguang, led him into a sturdy building within the inner palace. In a low voice, he said, "The king just woke up. When he heard that you came to visit him, he immediately ordered me to bring you to him." Xiang Xiaolong knew that the servant had covered up his visit to Empress Jing. He immediately expressed his gratitude. Jiguang said, "Right now, everyone in the palace holds General Dong in the utmost esteem. If it wasn't for you quickly capturing those villains, who knows how many more of us would have met with disaster." Xiang Xiaolong made a few modest remarks, before seizing the opportunity to ask, "Aside from General Cheng, who amongst the palace guards holds the most authority?" Upon hearing Cheng Su's name, Jiguang revealed a look of disdain. It would of course be the chief guard, General Zhao Lingpian. His popularity, prestige, and record of service all surpass that of General Cheng. But because he doesn't know how to curry favor with Chief Advisor Guo, he's never been given great authority. Xiang Xiaolong didn't expect him to speak so openly about internal affairs. Staring at him in astonishment, he nodded. "Palace servant Zhang, you really speak boldly and forthrightly." Jiguang smiled. "I speak based on my judgment of the person I am speaking with. Right now, everyone in Handan knows that horse fanatic Dong is an amazing hero who does not tremble at the sight of power and influence. If our country of Great Zhao had a few more heroes like General Dong, why would we fear the rapacious predator like Qin?" Xiang Xiaolong clapped him on the shoulder. "I simply must make a friend of you, palace servant Zhang. I'll probably have favors that I need you to help me with over the next 2 days as well." They stopped talking as they crossed over the threshold of the door. Passing by 2 palace guardians, they entered the room to meet with King Xiaocheng. After paying respects to the monarch, each of them seated themselves. Before he had a chance to speak, King Xiaocheng ordered all the guards to leave before saying in a low voice, "Do you have any good news to report on the oaths of loyalty?" Xiang Xiaolong closely examined his face. Although he looked a bit tired, he didn't look as bad as he had imagined. The number of guards patrolling the marquis residence suddenly increased dramatically, and Tian Dan gifted him with 10 giant hounds that are particularly sharp of eye and keen of nose. Aside from forcibly entering the residence, there's really no way in. If my guess is correct, someone has leaked the news out to him, causing Zhao Mu to become wary of me. King Xiaocheng was stunned for a moment, before revealing a pondering look in his eyes. After a long time, he said, "There's only a very few number of people who know about this, and we have ordered them to guard this secret carefully. Who would dare to disobey our commands?" Xiang Xiaolong said, "Maybe I'm being overly suspicious. Perhaps Zhao Mu is simply increasing his guards due to the critical time about to come to pass." King Xiaokeng's expression changed quickly. In a heavy voice, he said, "The great general is about to return in a few days' time. If Zhao Mu wishes to rebel, he must make his move in these next few days. General Dong, have you received any intelligence on this front?" Xiang Xiaolong said, "He once mentioned that he will need to borrow support from the men of Qi to accomplish the deed. Based on this, I imagine he has a full and complete set of plans to allow the men of Qi to easily enter the city." "Oh! Not good." King Xiaocheng was alarmed. "General Dong, what did you just think of?" What Xiang Xiaolong had suddenly thought of was Zhao Mingxiang, that internal traitor. With him acting as cover, it wouldn't be hard at all to sneak a group of men from under the walls through the Wu family tunnels. No wonder that Zhao Mu, when he suspected Dong Kuang of betraying him, still appeared so confident and unconcerned. This really was not good at all. Although he thought of this, he dared not say it. He lied, "I believe that this very night, Zhao Mu will initiate the first of his chain plans of attack. He will assassinate the ministers and generals opposed to him to cause confusion in the hearts of the soldiers and the civilians. I must make preparations." This was also very much a possibility. When he thought of this, he suddenly felt very uneasy. But before they had concluded their talks, he dared not rashly depart. King Xiaokeng's face turned white. Gasping with astonishment, he said, "Make the first strike to seize the initiative. Right now, we can't hold too many scruples. General Dong, order your men to go and capture or kill Zhao Mu. If he is going to be disloyal to me, there's no need for me to be faithful to him. No one can blame us for being ruthless to him." Although Xiang Xiaolong's heart was burning with anxiety, he forced himself to be calm as he explained, "Highness, you are absolutely correct. That is the most direct, straightforward way to deal with things. But right now, we still don't know how many of the palace or city guards are traitors. If Zhao Mu gets a wind of the plan and makes his move first, launching an attack in unison with Tiandan and Li Yuan's forces, it will be very hard to determine who will win and who will lose. Today, Zhao Mu introduced me to the Mahist Zhuzi, Yan Ping. This extremely talented Mahist swordsman alone will be very difficult for us to deal with. When combined with the thousands of men Zhao Mu has under him, the situation looks very grim." Upon hearing the names Tiandan, Li Yuan, and Yan Ping, King Xiaokeng's face turned ashen. At a loss as to what to do, he complained, "Are you saying we should just sit here and do nothing until he calls up his men and revolts?" Xiang Xiaolong secretly grumbled to himself that all of Zhao Mu's resources and power were nurtured by the king himself. And now, the king wants to blame him? He calmly replied, "Although your humble servant has become the city commander, I only have the authority to command the troops in dealing with routine matters of city security. I cannot deploy the troops as I see fit, much less command the troops stationed outside of the capital. If, theoretically, you were to give me the army seal, I would be able to strengthen our defenses and concentrate our forces within the city, while having all of the critical choke points and passageways manned by people I trust. At that point in time, we would no longer need to fear the forces outside of the city. Perhaps we would even be able to slaughter Tiandan and Li Yuan at the same time." King Xiaocheng hesitated for a long while, before saying in a trembling voice, "Tiandan and Li Yuan are important officials of the kingdoms of Qi and Chu. Do not take any rash actions before I consult with Generals Lian Po and Li Mu." Xiang Xiaolong secretly exclaimed to himself that this was such a pity. He knew that the king was just finding an excuse. He now better understood why Empress Jing said that the kingdom of Zhao would be lost under his rule. If you wish to accomplish great things, how can you be so full of misgivings and vacillate on what to do? King Xiaocheng suddenly rose to his feet. Fine. We will give you the army seal, so that you can act with full authority. Xiang Xiaolong hurriedly knelt down to thank him. At this point in time, the hatred he felt for the king of Zhao had already become very dull and light. It had been replaced with pity and sorrow.